We had our first date in one city, a second date in another city, third date moving in together during COVID. And it was fast, but it was also the perfect speed. You know, we were just at that right point in our lives where this just, you know, we were each other's person and we knew it. So it's been perfect. It's been really perfect.
Jokes, both of us wishing we were old right then, 'cause we knew it was love. And everybody says take it slow, but I think it's true when you know you know.
The first time she met him and heard him and spoke with him, and she said, I knew.
You know, he doesn't introduce girls to us, so we knew that she was the one when he was deciding that we should start talking to her and meeting her, whether it was online or not.
He was telling us about a woman that he was going to meet that was interested in working for Covington. And so he came to see us, but then you knew the real reason was to see if he could meet this lady that he met in Korea a while ago. And when he got home after the date, you could see that it made a big impression on him. So we were very excited and very happy.
Fall in love with your best friend. Yeah, I know they probably think I'm crazy.
So Tom and I met in Seoul, Korea in November 2016. I was a second-year law student at the time, and I was part of this moot court competition. And moot court is basically law students who practice arguing in front of practice judges. Totally nerdy club that people do. As we were preparing for the competition, my coach kept bringing up this guy named Tom, who won the whole thing, the international rounds a few years prior. My coach said he lived in Korea at the time and he was willing to help us. We get to lunch one day when we arrive, and I see, you know, a big table, and at the end is this like Disney prince looking guy.
And I remember seeing Natalie and just instantly I just had this huge crush on her. And I thought she was so cute. And I remember just thinking, like, please, please just sit somewhere next to me. Like, I want to be talking to this person. And sure enough, she sat right down in front of me, and we had this awesome conversation, and it was just this instant sort of crush.
Tommy is a person that has always had a very sunny disposition. A guy who is always, as a young kid, with a big smile on his face, very enthusiastic, very friendly, very outgoing. Amongst his friends, very sociable, and also very hardworking. When he determines to get something done, he puts all his effort and concentration, and he gets it done. That's an incredible trait that he's always shown, even when he was a very young boy.
He's the type of kid who would walk into a room and just be everybody's friend, and everyone would gravitate towards him. And certainly as a man, he's the same way. He's always had this innate ability to think about what he wants, imagine his dreams, and then he's able to strategize and actualize them. Natalie had no chance once he set his sights on her.
Come on, cloud nine. Don't think that anybody in this town can bring me down.
We ended up reconnecting in, it was December 2019. And I got a letter of interest at the time from the firm where he works now in New York. This is the perfect opportunity to talk to Tom.
I respond to her email, say, yeah, absolutely, let's talk anytime you're free.
I ended up being a little bit late to our meeting.
As I was waiting, I just got so nervous to see her again. So I figured, okay, well, I'll just like have a little bit of this wine to kind of steady the nerves. So I was like, okay, just like a sip. And then maybe just 2 sips. And it's like, okay, I just finished the glass, and I have this whole bottle, I'm not gonna finish it, so might as well have sort of another glass. And sure enough, she ends up joining probably like 45 minutes late. And I'm like basically through the bottle of wine. So at that point, my sort of crush and my affection was pretty open, pretty known.
It was just so fun to be able to just one-on-one talk with him. That was the first time I think we had ever done that. And he told me all about the firm, all about his life in New York. And I told him just all about mine. We just caught up the past 3 years. And at one point I was talking about my job and how I traveled all the time. And I told him that the following month I'd be traveling to California. And he goes, "Oh, I travel to California all the time."
I'd never traveled to California for work at all. And she says, "Oh, that's funny. I'm actually going to be going to California in a couple of weeks." And I said, "Well, give me your information, and maybe I might be there at the same time. I'd love to meet up again in person after all these years and catch up."
It's like, wait, so am I the reason he's coming?
I don't know if she's even single, and I maybe I'm totally misreading this thing, and maybe she thinks this is just like a work-ish kind of meeting. And so I remember thinking, oh man, I gotta make sure before I sort of take her out for this romantic dinner. So I emailed her and I said, "Hey Natalie, this is Tom. Just to coordinate logistics, I'm gonna make a reservation for us at this restaurant that I know that I go to all the time, never been there before. And I just wanna know, are you traveling with any colleague or boyfriend, fiance, husband?" And thankfully she responded very quickly. She said, "No, I'm stag." So I remember thinking, okay. So I made the reservation, flew out there, and just had this magical, just amazing first date. I don't know where the time went.
The conversation was amazing. I learned so much about him and fell in love just by the minute. And I think it was about an hour into our walk and conversation that I was just like, I'm gonna marry this guy.
Okay, Natalie growing up. Well, to start with, she was born 3 weeks early and always wanted to fast track her life.
She really had it. She really was fearless young girl. She basically would do and say whatever was on her mind. She was quite independent for a young girl. Yeah.
I mean, totally
very intelligent,
passionate,
beautiful.
Natalie is fiery. She's incredibly dedicated. I think there's two qualities that I love the most about her. One is she is absolutely fearless. I've never seen this much fearlessness in anyone. She sees something that she wants and she goes for it. The other quality that I really love about her is we just get each other, and we get each other even beyond words. We share the same mind and the same heart, and I think it's part of the reason why she just feels like home.
I love everything about Tom. He is, more than just being an interesting person and have all of these qualities that sound really cool to someone. He's so warm and genuine and so caring. He takes care of me. It feels like he's just, I don't know, my soulmate. I'm gonna cry. About late February, early March, we are starting to follow the news a little more and seeing oh, there's this weird virus that's spreading around the world and hasn't really come to the US much, but is people are getting nervous. And so we were just consuming content at the time, how is this going to affect us and our travel plans? And then we were talking about working from home. And he was like, yeah, so I think my firm is going to actually just close down the offices. And I was like, well, why don't you just come to Hawaii? And work from here.
I got a one-way ticket to Honolulu and just figured, this COVID thing will probably last maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And, it'll be a fun sort of third date story. And it's been over a year and a half, close to 2 years. So it's been a pretty awesome third date so far. And then I popped the question on our fourth date, which is when I met her parents to ask for their blessing. And it's been awesome. It's been awesome. It's all happened so quickly and also at the sort of perfect time.
And he was getting ready to ask my permission to marry Natalie. And I could see he just was having trouble getting it out. So I just kind of put my arm around him and I said, Tom, welcome to the family. We love you. And that loosened everything up. And then
I just felt like everything was just perfect. It was perfect. And the only question then was, okay, how do I actually ask this question? And I thought for sure Natalie knew I was going to ask this question. So I had no idea how surprised she would be.
Yeah, I had no idea that he would be proposing.
Natalie's mom collects these like really interesting antiques from like the Amish. And so she had like a bunch of like butter churns and like daisy churns to like basically whip cream into whipped cream and to make butter and all these interesting sort of devices. So I figured it'd be fun to sort of make one and to use it to actually for desserts.
He gives me the butter churn and he's like, okay, Natalie, it's your turn to make the whipped cream. And so I'm like, okay, great. How do I do it? And he's like, you just spin it. And so I'm like, okay, and I'm spinning it and I'm just like happy hanging out with my family.
I remember thinking, okay, this is perfect because she's focused on basically a challenge. So she's in just Natalie mode. And we're thinking, you know what? I think maybe one of the reasons why it's not working is, hold on, stand up, let me look underneath it to see if like the little propellers are touching the vase, making up some excuse. And so I get down on one knee. And as soon as I get down on one knee, she gets down on one knee too, to match me. I'm thinking, oh God, come on. So then I stand up, and then she stands up. And then I say like, okay, hold on there, let me see the underside. And I get down to one knee and she's just totally focused. And then I just say, I think the reason why it's not working is that because you're still single.
And I was like, what? And then I just like see him reach into his pocket and it all clicks. And I'm like, I like scream. What?
When I got you.
Destiny or fate works. I guess for most people, this pandemic has been obviously a very horrendous, horrific situation around the world. But for Tommy and Natalie, it was in a sense a blessing because, this pandemic brought them together.
We're thrilled that he's met someone who is extraordinary as he is, and we just really are happy to see the two of them together.
I think it's a wonderful love story that you two are experiencing, and I just hope that it lasts forever.